Radiation monitoring has begun at 1,400 schools and preschools in Japan as authorities struggle to contain the emergency at the Fukushima nuclear plant. In seawater close to the facility itself, the plant's operator has detected radioactive iodine at 7.5 million times above the legal limit. And traces of radioactive cesium have been found in fish off Japan's east coast for the first time, which is a major concern, as Tokyo correspondent Mark Willesee explains.
It's quite a big worry, Ros, because cesium is quite a toxic contaminant. In fact, its half-life is about 30 years. It can sit at the bottom of the ocean floor for all of that time and get into the food chain. And we've heard that young lance, that's a breed of small fish that's very much enjoyed by the Japanese here, has been found with levels of cesium in it that are above the legal limits. Now, that has prompted 10 fishing cooperatives here in the affected zone, which is south of the Fukushima plant, to immediately ban or suspend fishing of this species. So that's quite serious, but it also has to be said that radioactive iodine has also been found in the seawater in this area at 7.5 million times the legal limit. I suppose the only bright spot when you're talking about iodine is that it only has a very short half-life of about 8 days.
What's the situation at the reactor itself? Have those fears of a meltdown gone away?
No, the meltdown factor is still there. They're pumping in thousands of tonnes of water into these reactors every day in a bid to cool the fuel rods. But there has been a victory of sorts. Just a few hours ago, we heard from TEPCO, the plant's operators, saying they finally managed to plug this 20-centimetre crack in a pit in Reactor 2. Now, this crack was leaking thousands and thousands of litres of radioactive water every hour into the Pacific Ocean. In recent days, they've tried to plug it with concrete. Then they tried a mixture of sawdust, shredded newspaper and what is the equivalent of a nappy absorbent. That also failed. Today they used a sodium silicate, which is what they're calling liquid glass. They didn't pour it directly into the crack. They instead poured it into the ground around the crack to solidify the ground. That has stopped the water leaking through that ground and then into the ocean. So a victory, finally, of sorts for the plant's operators.
Mark, mayors of the towns most directly affected by this nuclear crisis have been meeting the Japanese Prime Minister. Now, what message did he have for them?
Well, he's told them that the government and the nation will support these communities. We've heard from about 10 mayors from the affected area in Fukushima who are very concerned about the situation, obviously, because of radioactive contamination of the air, the water, the soil. But it also has to be said that a lot of these local communities around the Fukushima plant have a lot of benefits from the plant. In fact, one has said that we have thousands of local people who work at the plant, so it's a great provider of local employment. But for these mayors, it's also another problem in other areas because the plant is potentially contaminating soil, which is having major impacts on local agriculture. It's also impacting on radioactivity in the ocean, as we've heard, which is having a huge impact on aquaculture and fishing. So these mayors are in a dire situation. Not only are they potentially losing jobs because the plant is probably going to have to close at least 4 reactors, if not all 6, but also because their aquaculture and agricultural industries will be affected for years to come.
Mark, thank you.